donk, donk, donk. Straight wheel. Bang, 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 donk, 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 bang, bang, bang. But now what I'm perplexed about, see, this is a no-brainer. This aluminum plate, that's a no-brainer. That will go in the media blaster. But these I'm perplexed about because I wanted to reuse the bearings. And because I wanted to reuse the bearings, that's keeping me from wanting to put it in the media blaster. So I'm going to look at the media, what kind of media it actually is. It's not sand. It's more granular. It's a larger, it's not walnut shell. They didn't have that. And that was recommended to me for this purpose, for this reason. But let's see what I wound up with today. Let's see what we got. We got, I don't know if you can see that or not. It's a 1/4 inch pyramid green unsaturated resin. So I'm going to shut the camera off, use 2 hands, get some of this out. This is not a commercial for Harbor Freight. So get this stuff out and see what's going on with it. And I may wrap electrical tape around the ends of these bearing caps. You know, I got 2 hands on the camera, sorry, but might take electrical tape around and just keep the bearings closed, and go ahead and throw them in the blast in the tumbler anyway. We'll see. So I'm gonna set you down for a minute and figure that out. Okay, guys, it's after work. One night after work, I'm just gonna repack these bearings for the swing arm linkages. They came out pretty decent in the tumbler. I could have ran them a little longer and got them perfect and got all those little edges and little minuscule paint pock marks out. But, you know, it's a dirt bike. I'm going to go ride this thing in the mud. So, I did a workman's job, a layman's job on, you know, getting them fairly cleaned up. But if this was a museum bike, then, you know, you sandblast everything with, you know, abrasive glass, and then it makes it shine, and then you clear coat it and you put it in a museum and you never ride it. But that's not this. This is a bike that I can ride and enjoy. So alright, here we go. Packing bearings for the linkage. Put the camera right about there. I apologize if this don't work out so good. I think it'll be okay. Got a nice fresh tub of grease. And oh yeah, let me show you my bearings I sorted out. It took a long time to sort these bearings. All these little needles. But you got, on this particular model, you got 3 different sizes. These 2 piles are the same. I know it looks like 4 piles, but it's really only 3, because these are all the same. I wasn't sure what I was going to have when I started, so that's how they worked out. My little skinny ones go down here in the shock bottom. The long ones go down here on the fat end of the linkage, and then all the rest of these go between the dog bone and the pivot. So alright, let's get some grease in there. I like to start these off by just going ahead and putting a clump of grease in them. That way it holds the bearings. If you try to put the bearings in and then grease them, you will be sorry. It will not work correctly. So, and I know, you know, perfect safety would dictate I was wearing gloves. And I do when I'm handling nasty chemicals like acetone and, you know, carb clean and stuff. But I don't think grease is as bad as some of that stuff. It's basically just congealed oil. So, yeah, this is the one that gets the long needles. So see how I did that? I just picked them up on my finger. Just kind of put them in there, rolling them together, and then pushed them all into a, you know, a common area there. Pushed them all together. Now I got grease on my finger again. I'm going to take that grease, pick up a bunch of bearings with it, stick them in there, work them in. Doesn't have to take all day, guys. You know, you don't have to do each and every independent one with a pair of tweezers. You know, be smart. Think about time. Time is money when you're working on stuff. So just get some grease on your finger, pick up the next load, work them in there like that. The closer you get to the end, the more difficult it becomes, because now you're shooting for a smaller spot. You got less space to work with. The more bearings you get in, the more critical spacing becomes. So that's what it looks like when you get near the end. You see that little channel right there? I got to fit, looks like 4 needles in there. Looks like 4. See if we can do these last 2 as a pair. Or if I have to do them one at a time, we'll see. Nope, they went in. Okay. So we got lots of good goopy grease all the way around the joint, all the way around the bearing. Full of bearings all the way around. Nice and tight in all directions, no slop anywhere. You know, that's it. Take you a washer. This one wasn't too bad looking, so I just wiped it off. And I do pack some grease around the seals. A lot of guys don't. They leave this dry because it makes the bike less messy. Makes it cleaner to work on. But the reason I do get it all messy and put it all on like that is it helps the seals last longer. It helps the inside rubber. See those rubber inners there? They just last a little bit longer if you go ahead and put some grease on them. Yeah, it's a little bit more spoogey when you go to wash the bike and grease is running out and you get some dirt mucked up in there. Yeah, it gets a little mucky, no doubt about it, but that's what, you know, that's what hoses are for. Wash your bike. But I like to lube the seals when I put them in. I like to be in good shape and stay that way. So I know you can't see it on the camera, but I'm trying to orient these needles all in a common direction so that as I scoop in there with my greasy finger to pick them up, like that, they're all facing the same direction. See that? And then you just scoop them up in there. Boop boop. There you go. As far as cleaning these things up, I just used for these I just used some gasoline. I had a little extra lawnmower gas laying around in a gas can, and I just took some of that lawnmower gasket and poured it in that dog bowl there and just cleaned these needles up with a little gasoline. And looks like these little seals here are the right ones for this job. Let's see if I can get these in. They go in this direction. You see how the seal's got a groove on that side and it's flat with a lip on that side? The groove goes in. I'll come out and make it focus better. The groove goes in towards the bearings and the flat side with the lip goes out. And you got to be careful doing what I'm doing right here, because I've done this before and squeezed with my fingers real hard. I've gone "Oh!" with a lot of pressure and try to squeeze that. And I've had this get cockamamie and spray the bearings out the other side and lose half of them before. So be careful with that. Make sure when you're pressing these in, if you're trying to do it with your fingers like I'm doing, make sure you hold both sides nice and flat. I'm not sure that's 100% in. I don't think it is. So what I'll do before final assembly is I'll take a socket that just perfectly fits that and just tap them a little bit in, squeeze them a little bit. Or maybe put a socket on it, put it in a vise and squeeze it, whatever. but I'm just being honest, I don't think those seals are in all the way. But the joint feels good, nice and tight with no slop whatsoever, but it's clean and freshly greased. So, alright, I'm going to turn the camera off and do all the rest of these. It's a lot of redundancy here. I'm just going to keep going, doing the same exact thing over and over. No sense tying up video time with that. So, peace out.